Sports. We are Baltimore. We are Minnesota.
For the final time this year, the Twins will play in front of their home fans. It's the final game of the series with the Seattle Mariners, and the Twins would like to finish the season with a series win against a contending team. And we welcome you to Target Field for the last time this year. Dick and Bert with you for the game number 81 here at Target Field. We showed you in the pregame show the connection between Miguel Sano, Robinson Cano, and Miguel Sano appears to enjoy playing in front of his big brother.
Well, I'll tell you what, he has had some very good numbers against the Seattle Mariners this year. Sano, who hit a home run in last night's ball game, 8 for 17 so far in Seattle. And he's got 2 against today's starter, Taijuan Walker. So Sano hopefully will have another good afternoon. But Sano, when he gets hot, he can hit that ball a long way, and then also picking up some hits and some RBIs.
His home run yesterday was the difference in the game, and somehow the Twins need to figure out a way to get Nelson Cruz out.
Well, here a couple days ago, Nelson Cruz taking a Tommy Malone pitch to straightaway center off the limestone, measured over 400 feet, and then last night's ball game at 111 miles an hour was the first one. Well, yeah, I can top that. 114 last night, 493-foot home run.
There haven't been many highlights to this season. There haven't been many highlights here at home, and the Twins would like to provide one. That last memory can be a lasting one as the Twins hope to win the final series.
Twins baseball on Fox Sports North is presented by Menards. Save big money at Menards on all your home improvement needs. By Ram. Get power you can depend on at Ram Power Days. And by Sanford Orthopedics and Sports Medicine for the everyday competitor in all of us.
This morning we woke up with the news that tragedy has descended on the baseball world, but this is so much more than a baseball tragedy, a human tragedy. One of the bright young stars in the major leagues, Jose Fernandez, the ace pitcher for the Miami Marlins, was killed overnight in a boating accident. And the Miami Marlins releasing this statement, the organization devastated by the tragic loss of Jose Fernandez. And we can echo the second part of that. Our thoughts and prayers are with his family at this very difficult time. Fox Sports Florida broadcaster Eduardo Perez commented this morning on ESPN.
He risked his life, and he did it multiple times, and he would do it for anyone. That's the beauty of Jose, and that's how I would remember him. I would remember him every time, every game in Miami. He would do it for his grandmother, for his mom. Oh, man. It's tough. It really is. Just to see how good he was on the field and how great he could have been is what the city of Miami and the rest of Major League Baseball and the impact he would have had even after the game, because there was so much life to him.
The closest parallel we can come up with in Twins history, the premature loss of Kirby Puckett, but of course that was after his playing career ended. We've never seen anything like this.
Yeah, then you think about the New York Yankees when they lost Thurman Munson
Right.
many years ago. But as the organization of the Miami Marlins and everybody that got to know this young man, you saw the potential in him, his love for life, his desire to want to come over to the United States to play Major League Baseball. It's a tragedy, and our thoughts and prayers are with him and his family.
Appropriately, the Marlins-Braves game today was canceled. Baseball in a state of mourning today with the loss of one of its brightest stars, Jose Fernandez.
Every game but one will continue to be played in the Major League schedule, and the Twins honoring Fernandez by hanging a jersey in their dugout. It will remain there throughout. Fernandez actually pitched against and beat the Twins here at Target Field 3 years ago. And, very sad news, and understandably the Marlins and Braves game canceled today amid the news that Fernandez passed away overnight, a boating accident at the age of 24. Scott Service and the Mariners still in the playoff hunt. They'd like to claim a wild card spot, and they lost last night to the Twins, a very costly one, but they're still in it. Detroit is losing. The Mariners right now the 4th seeded team in what will be a 2-team wild card entry. The Menards batting order for the final game to be played here at Target Field this year for the Mariners: Guillermo Heredia, Franklin Gutierrez, Robinson Cano, Nelson Cruz, Kyle Seager, Daiho Lee, Leonis Martin, Jesus Sucre, and Sean O'Malley.
And for the 3rd time this season, Hector Santiago will make a start against the Seattle Mariners. There's 2 previous starts coming when he was a member of the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim, making his 32nd start and his 10th as a Minnesota Twin starter.
And the Northland Ford defense for the Twins. The outfield: Robbie Grossman, Byron Buxton, Max Kepler. Infield: Sano, Polanco, Dozier, and Vargas. Joe Mauer, the designated hitter, and Juan Centeno doing the catching. And Jerry Lane, crew chief, gets plate duty here this afternoon. Hunter Wendelstedt, Toby Basner, and Trip Gibson on the bases. And Heredia in the box, and we are ready to go. Strike 1 to Heredia.
Heredia getting an opportunity to play. He's actually, I don't know if Scott Service did this on purpose, but for Jose Fernandez, you know, he defected from Cuba. Also, this man right here, Heredia, did. And signed by the Seattle Mariners on March 1st of this year.
Right field line, and Kepler chasing in, makes a catch in fair territory, 1 away. Play after a nice run by Kepler.
Well, we've seen Kepler out in right field doing a good job utilizing that speed that he has been given. And you see where he's playing right there, that ball right down that right field line. Got to keep your eye on the ball, see where that short wall is down that right field line. Good concentration. It was a fair ball catch for the 1st out.
1 down, and now Franklin Gutierrez has been used as a pinch hitter the last couple nights. But with the Twins sending left-hander Santiago on the mound, Gutierrez gets the start. And he gets under one, driving one to center field, but Buxton drifts over and makes the catch. The ball carried, I think, a lot farther, certainly than Gutierrez did, thought, because he was pretty disgusted when he left home plate.
Wow, I'll tell you what, Buxton, you know, we've seen him. He goes back as well as anybody, and that ball kept drifting on him because he's a guy that will usually run to the spot where he thinks that ball's going to be. Watch Buxton right here. He thinks it's right there, and then the ball just kept drifting, and right against the bullpen fence. At 411 feet away, Buxton made the catch.
And now Robinson Cano. 5 pitches, 2 outs. In last night's game, Tyler Duffy got all 3 outs on 5 pitches, and that kind of set the tone for Duffy, who has had more than his share of long innings. It was kind of nice for him to get that first inning out of the way on just 5 pitches. Swing and a foul, and Jerry Lane staggered by that foul tip, and both Centeno and Cano helped the veteran umpire to stay up.
And trainer Tony Leo coming right out of the dugout, making sure Mr. Lane is okay. He's a veteran, been umpiring a long time.
Tony asking him the questions trainers have to ask now, part of the concussion protocol, to see whether the person is concussed or not. And you can see Centeno reaching out and grabbing his arm and keeping Lane from falling down.
Yeah, right there, right off the mask, off the left shoulder. And right there, Centeno holding his hand, and Cano coming over to help mobilize him right there, make sure he's all right.
Let's not undersell what Centeno did. We've seen what happens when a
someone falls down, and if their head snaps back on the ground, it can compound the problem. And our thoughts immediately go to Jerry Lane, who is not doing well.
No, he's not.
One of the trainers on the staff, added to the staff in September, is out there now. And Tony Leo trying to get some encouragement from Jerry Lane that he's going to be okay.
Jerry Lane, 28 years he's been a major league umpire.
It's been such a sad day in baseball already, and we're just a handful of pitches into this game, and we have more immediate concerns, at least the well-being of Jerry Lane. Jerry still, as you see, hunched over.
Turning 58 years old this month.
And I would think very shortly, although I only see 2 umpires there. I think someone else has already gone to put on the home plate umpiring equipment. They see Trip Gibson and Toby Basner are there, and Hunter Wendelstedt has already left the field.
Right, he's the first base umpire. He is yet to have the plate in this 3-game series.
And Jerry Lane is going to be helped off the field. Dave Prumer on his left side, Tony Leo on Dave Prumer on his right side, and Tony Leo on his left. Now the challenge of trying to get Jerry Lane down the stairs. VJ Uni standing nearby in the peach-colored shirt of the team doctors.
One thing baseball does, they always have a team doctor here at the stadium in case something like this happens, whether it's be a player, in this case an umpire.
Jerry Lane's going to be helped down the stairs.
Our thoughts and prayers are with him.
Sent a lot of those, haven't we, already today, with the terrible news out of Miami. 6 pitches in, and we have an umpire who needs to be helped from the field. Santiago doing a little manicuring there.
What would you say the average age of a major league umpire is? I'd say 55 and older, wouldn't you, Dick?
Oh, I think
maybe a little younger.
I would say younger than that.
Yeah. I mean, Jerry Lane, 58 years old. Like I said, he's been doing it now 28 years. And we've major league level.
We've talked about it, the hardship that umpires go through and their families, to be sure. You know, we at least spend half of our time at home, and umpires almost never get to spend any part of the 6 months in their actual home. So we are waiting, we assume, for Hunter Wendelstedt to put on the gear. The umpire's room is behind where Toby Basner, I believe, no, that's Trip Gibson with Scott Service, down those stairs and up a short flight of stairs, so geographically close to the field. And Santiago is, whether he's got a blister issue. Remember, he did have a blister issue. Now I'm guessing he's going into the tunnel to maybe do a little bit of throwing while we wait for a home plate umpire. We're We're going to take a break. Unfortunately, we have a health delay here, and we'll take a break and come back with an update, we hope. Hunter Wendelstedt will now have plate duty. Jerry Lane leaving because of a foul tip to the mask. And if we get an update, as we hope we will, on Jerry Lane, we'll pass it along to you. Robinson Cano back in the box. Hector Santiago on the mound, and the count is 0-1. Fouled away, 0-2. Here's what happened a few moments ago. Sixth pitch of the ball game. Glancing blow off the mask and the left shoulder, and Juan Centeno may have heroically done a wonderful thing for Jerry Lane in not allowing him to fall down.
Jerry was staggering right off the get-go.
1 and 2. Fouled away again.
Well, as I mentioned, Hector Santiago making his third start against Seattle. His first two coming with the Angels, and he's done a good job against the Mariners so far this year. 2-0, 2 quality starts, total of 14 innings against them, only allowed 2 earned runs. He's handled Cano pretty well over their meetings. Cano just 3 hits and 21 at bats.
Slow breaking ball popped up behind second base. Sano with the catch. An eventful 1-2-3 first inning for Hector Santiago.
about where the Mariners are right now. We're just kind of on the outside, but right on the edge of playoff consideration. And here's the Menards batting order for year 2, the home finale. And Brian Dozier spontaneously getting a standing ovation as he leads off. And you saw the batting order, and this is a nice response by Twins fans who haven't had a whole lot to cheer about this year.
Well, you know, the Twins came out before the ball game, maybe about 20 minutes before, and thanked all the fans for their support.
Wicked shot off the glove of the third baseman, and Dozier will get an infield hit.
And it was Brian Dozier that thanking the fans for their support, even though it has not been the season that everybody expected. So Brian jumping on that first pitch from Taijuan Walker. And Seager, he backpedaled right here. This ball hit sharply. The one hopper. Watch Seager try to play it off to his right. In and out of the glove. O'Malley getting the ball and making it close at first, but it's an infield base hit for Dozier.
And Jorge Polanco will bat. So again, the batting order: Dozier, Polanco, Mauer in as the designated hitter. Sano, Kepler, Vargas, Grossman, Centeno, and Buxton. Dozier check right away.
Taijuan Walker making his second start this season against the Twins. Twins got him pretty good back in Seattle in late May. It was actually Sano that hit a home run off of him. He actually gave up 3 home runs, 1 to Mauer, 1 to Grossman, 1 to Sano.
All with the bases empty. But it was enough to help the Twins complete a 3-game sweep.
Yeah, Walker making his 24th start. About 3-4 starts ago, Mel Stottlemyre, the pitching coach, Mel Stottlemyre Jr., changed his delivery a little bit, and it's really helped.
2-0.
A couple starts ago, he threw a 3-hit shutout against the Angels. And it was about 4 starts ago that he was really struggling. He didn't get out of the first inning against the Angels back on the first part of September. And he went to his pitching coach. He says, okay, what do I need to do to get better? And Mel Stottlemyre got him to lift that left leg up a little bit higher, and it became successful. Now, he's not going to throw it up as high now as he did before, but he always had the kind of the Price, a David Price type of delivery, where he didn't have a lot of movement. And Mel Stottlemyre tried to get him to stay over that pitching rubber a little bit longer, and it's worked out.
Talked about the 3-game sweep in Seattle over the 3 games in late May. The Twins knocked the Mariners out of first place in the American League West. You'd think if they could win here this afternoon, if the Twins could win, they may all but knock the Mariners out of the wild card race. And Polanco beats the shift. Dozier rounding second, on his way to third, and the Twins are off and running. Wonderful placement by Polanco. He hasn't seen many pull shifts this year, but he saw one and beat it. First and third, nobody out.
Well, with the shortstop playing up the middle, it's a pitch down in the strike zone, and Polanco just inside out swings and hits it right to where the shortstop usually is. And Brian Dozier got a great read, great jump, hustled over to third.
And again, as we try to separate Dozier from the other power hitters in the league, that's not something a 40 home run a year guy typically is able to do. Go first to third on a single to left. Down in the dirt to Mauer, back in the lineup. I think we're just starting to realize the gravity of Mauer's leg injury and how it has really hampered him over the last few weeks. He's wanted to play, even though his leg is obviously affecting his swing, and the average down to 263. A strike, 1-1. He is our Sanford Health Injury Report, or the subject of it. Back in the lineup after missing a few games.
Well, 1 for 6 against Walker, and that one hit being the home run earlier this year.
Mauer takes a strike, 1-2. Twins got the first run of the ball game last night. First time they'd held a lead actually in a week. Now they have the opportunity to do it again in the first inning this afternoon. Ground ball to second, should be 2. There'll be no run batted in for Mauer, and the run does come in. It's 1-0.
Well, the hustle of Brian Dozier right there helped the Twins on the board first. Going from first to third on that little roller through the infield. So high fives all around for Dozier. Let's take a 1-0 lead.
And now Miguel Sano. Hit home run number 24 in the ball game last night. It was the deciding run of the game. And as Bert mentioned, 2 for 5 with 2 home runs against Walker in his career, including one of those earlier this year in late May. 1-0. 2-0.
Walker with a fastball, mid-90s. He's got a 2-seam fastball, good curveball.
Big swing and a miss.
There's a splitter right there for the circle changeup.
Walker, a big man. The Mariners are counting very heavily on him in the coming years. Slow breaking ball drops over, and it's 2-2.
And now that he's in the windup, what we see what he does, he still doesn't have much of a windup, but he does make that little bit of turn, almost Anibal Sanchez type of little turn over the pitching rubber.
3-2, Kepler on deck.
Walker listed at 6'4", about 235, just 24 years old. He was a Mariners #1 pick back in 2010.
At the knees, a called third strike. A couple of singles to start the inning, and the Twins, as they did last night, get the game's first run.
Double play last night in the top of the 9th inning. Miguel Sano grabbed this chopper, stepped on third, and then threw a bullet over to Kenny Vargas, who made a fantastic pick on the play. And today Vargas told me that he has been on the receiving end of countless Sano throws, just like that one, throughout the years. So Vargas said he knows the throwing angle of Sano's arm, and he knew how the baseball would bounce. He was anticipating it, and it looks like we have a situation on the field. Dick and Bert, go ahead, guys.
And Hunter Wendelstedt barking with the Mariner dugout.
Yeah, remember last night, you know, Gibson, the home plate umpire, had some issues with the bench. Wendelstedt not taking any
1-1.
anything from them, to say it gently.
Well, it was early in the ball game last night, early in the ball game today, and hopefully things will progress as they did last night. There were no further incidents, but between innings, Scott Service, the manager, and Trip Gibson, the umpire behind the plate last night, had a long chat to discuss whatever the issue was. I'm guessing it was balls and strikes. And now down and in, 2-2.
Now Santiago's had good success against Cruz also. 3 hits and 15 at bats is Nelson Cruz against Hector Santiago.
Foul ball in the barrel of the bat, almost made it to the outfield grass on the fly. Now, back in the day, when I followed the Dumont Saints baseball team, when there was a cracked bat like that,
Get the hammer and
we get the nails out and the black electrician's tape, and we had something we could use for the next 5 years.
You see where the barrel of the bat landed.
2-2.
Hey.
Deep to left field again. Grossman going back, and Cruz is on fire. He's tied the game with a home run.
And home run number 40 on the year for Cruz. Second career home run off of Santiago in his 4 hits he's had against Santiago.
Never should have cracked the other bat.
Oh. 2-run home run here a couple nights ago. Last night a 2-run home run here. A solo home run that ties the game. They're 1 apiece. Oh, that sound. It's a terrible sound.
That one just into the second deck. Last night he hit one into the third deck, which, if the measurement is correct, it's the longest home run I've ever seen, other than the one I gave up to Rodney Bobbick in a town team game.
It's funny how you remember those.
Well, and this is just a town team game. I would imagine
the only home run you gave up.
1-0, and now a ball hit hard on the ground, knocked down by Dozier, recovers and throws him out. Good play, retiring Seager 1 away. Again, we try to separate Dozier's athleticism from other 40 home run hitters. Well, we've got one now in this ball game. Nelson Cruz. Brian Dozier can do so many more things than Nelson Cruz can do. Just saw him go first to third on a single to left field. Now making a nice play in the field. Cruz doesn't play in the field anymore. 1-0 to lead.
Yeah, this series has 2 very, very good defensive second basemen in Robinson Cano and Brian Dozier.
As we've said, I think a time or two, the shame of Dozier's season is it's gone pretty much not unnoticed, but unappreciated in terms of what it could mean if the Twins were this year where they were a year ago at this time. Brian Dozier would be a strong American League MVP candidate if the Twins were this year where they were a year ago. Right off the end of the bat, and Polanco scoops, and over to Vargas, 2 down.
Well, Hector Santiago making his 3rd start against the Mariners this year. One of his best starts this year came back in the middle of May in Seattle. He worked 8 shutout innings, won that ball game 3-0, gave up only 2 hits to the Mariners.
We are all doing our jobs today, burdened by the tragedy down in Miami, Jose Fernandez, but then there are those like Leonis Martin, also a Cuban defector who knew Fernandez very well, and grief-stricken. Maybe the best way to describe Martin's reaction this morning, yet he's in the lineup for the Detroit Tigers at Comerica Park. Jose Iglesias was in the original starting lineup. He had to be scratched because of his reaction to the terrible news regarding Fernandez. 2-1.
Yeah, Martin, born in Cuba in 1988, came over, signed with the Rangers in 2011. In his first season with Seattle.
And Dozier backpedals, gets the first hop, and ends the inning. Predictably, almost, Nelson Cruz hit a home run to tie the game, and then Santiago got the next three batters. It's one apiece. North is presented by CenturyLink. Switch to CenturyLink Prism TV for an advanced TV experience. Learn more at cprismtv.com. Max Kepler leading things off for the Twins here in the second inning and taking ball one from Taijuan Walker. Driven to right, hit pretty well. This one's back and gone. A home run for Max Kepler.
A home run number 17 on the year, and just like that, 2 pitches later, the Twins take a 1-run lead.
That's Kepler's first home run not hit in Cleveland in a long time. Down and in, and he's come close to hitting a couple home runs. He hit a ball last night that looked like it might carry out, but didn't.
Ready to hit.
And Brian Dozier approves. And now outside to Kenny Vargas.
Yeah, Kepler's last home run coming August 31st in Cleveland against Corey Kluber. So home run number 17.
And that was his first home run since he hit 4 in a series, 3 in one game in Cleveland at the beginning of August. 2-0. And now 3-0. For the Twins, 193rd home run hit this season. We talked about it. The Twins with a chance to hit 200 home runs for just the 3rd time in Minnesota history. Swing and a miss, and it's 3-2 to Vargas.
That home run hit off a Walker, the 26th he has allowed this year. This is his 24th start.
And Vargas was on his way to first, but Hunter Wendelstedt, as he did to Miguel Sano, rung him up on a called 3rd strike, 1 down. Northland Ford defense for the Mariners. Guillermo Heredia in left, Leonis Martin in center, Franklin Gutierrez in right, Seager, O'Malley, Cano, and Lee the infielders, and Jesus Sucre the catcher. Down and in, ball 1. Grossman the batter. And now Walker falls behind Grossman 2-0. Grossman hitting just .222 from this side of the plate, but because of all his walks, he still has a better than average on base percentage. And overall, .378 his on base percentage, which is very good. Getting a chance to get back in left field after a tough game here on Friday night. And now 2-2. Grossman, as we mentioned before, hit a home run against Walker at Safeco Field in May. Pulled on the ground and under the glove of Cano, and Grossman is aboard.
I think Cano got tripped up a little bit, going back and kind of replacing the grass. He kind of let that ball get underneath his glove. He turned around and looked at where he tripped. So Grossman getting a base hit underneath the glove of Cano. Hit that ball sharply.
Now Juan Centeno. And Walker wants a new baseball. Twins with 4 early hits against Taijuan Walker.
Well, they end up giving Cano an error.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Beg your pardon then.
That'll be only his 3rd error of the year.
Ready to attack. Go.
1-0 to Centeno. Now 2-0. Walker's falling behind everybody here.
Well, one thing that Seattle has put together, a pretty good pitching staff. You know, ERA combined at 4.03. That's 3rd best in the American League. The Toronto Blue Jays, Cleveland Indians, Boston Red Sox, and the Seattle Mariners.
Now 3-0 with Buxton on deck. Playing with the lead again thanks to the Kepler home run.
Walks have not really been an issue for Walker this year.
Hits the inside corner, 3-1.
Coming into the ball game, just averaging 2.2 walks per 9 innings this season and about 8 strikeouts.
And a walk will put Centeno aboard. Send Grossman to second base. Why are the Mariners where they are at? Why have they maintained a contention status? It's because of the pitching, of course. Our Coors Light cold hard facts. 11 wins since September 7th, and look at the ERA, an enviable 2.40.
Yep, doing a good job. And Mel Stottlemyre Jr. out there to talk to his tall right-hander, trying to get him back in that strike zone.
We kind of detailed it with Walker. Mariners still haven't gotten consistency from him, and I don't know. Some consolation, I suppose, as the Twins have been frustrated with Tyler Duffy and his inconsistency, and Kyle Gibson his inconsistency. Other teams are experiencing it too, with pitchers they hope to establish as good major league starters. Happened to Matt Boyd today. Boyd knocked out early by the Twins at Comerica Park, and then he shut the Twins down here earlier in this homestand. He got knocked out without retiring a batter today against the Royals in a game the Tigers had to have. Kansas City leading that game 8-4 in the 4th, and Boyd didn't get an out. Chopped to third. Seager joggles it, and they'll get one, but that's it. First and third, 2 down for Brian Dozier.
And on the play, Grossman going over to third. So Seager, who has made 22 errors this year, on a Gold Glove. You can see him wobbling the ball, but able to get it over to Cano. And Cano knows who's running. No throw over to first with Buxton hustling down that line.
Well, Dozier hoping for at least a hit here to drive in his 100th run. He's already scored more than 100, and he would like to get RBI number 100 here at home. Smashed a single off the glove of Seager and then scored the first run of the game. For Dozier, his 101st run scored. Popped up. And near the Twins dugout. Out of play. It's a pretty exclusive club in Twins history. Michael Kadire most recently did it. Rory Koski did it for Tom Kelly in 2001. Hall of Famers Puckett, Carew, Killebrew have done it, and then Bob Allison, the first guy to do it back in 1962. Two strikes. Dozier takes one up and away. Close pitch.
And real quick, if you're keeping score at home, they took the error away from Cano and gave Grossman a base hit. So a lot of people keep score at home. And,
well, we hope they do.
Yep. And that ball hit pretty hard. You know, Cano, even though it looked like he had a little trouble, almost overran that ball, got underneath his glove. It's a play he probably says I should have made, but it goes as a base hit.
Well, we've seen him make it about 100 times over the year, so I was surprised he didn't make it. 1-2 to Dozier. Breaking ball, got him. 2 are left, but Max Kepler started the inning with a go-ahead home run, his 17th of the year. Run, his first home run at Target Field in quite some time, and the Twins are back in front. And good news is Hector Santiago might not have to face Nelson Cruz this inning. He pitched to Jesus Sucre, ball 1.
Yeah, between innings here, they're showing highlights of someone that's announcing his last game at Dodger Stadium, Vin Scully.
Buxton, back, can't make the play. That ball carried all the way to the base of the wall, and Sucre will hold up with a double. Hard to figure why the ball is carrying out there so well. The wind, if anything, is blowing in from right field, but that's the second time I think the ball has sailed a little bit farther than Byron thought.
We've seen it here before, Dick. You know, even though that wind might be blowing in, it kind of blows out to center field, and if that guy can't catch it, nobody can. Buxton, you can see he thought he had a track on it, then he had to go back. And the ball ends up over his head for Sucre, who just activated off the disabled list, just getting called up. That's his second double.
20 at bats, 10 hits for Sucre. And the tying runs at second, nobody out. Here's Sean O'Malley. Squaring and bunting foul. Yeah, Vin Scully calling his last game at Dodger Stadium, and then he will finish his 67-year run with the Dodgers, Brooklyn and Los Angeles next weekend in San Francisco. Incredible.
Incredible. These two guys were teammates right here, O'Malley and Santana, in Anaheim with the Angels.
And that misses the inside corner, 1-1. So no in on the edge of the grass. Vargas creeping in as Santiago delivers the pitch. They still think that O'Malley's going to drop one down here.
Well, that's his job right here. You hit in that number 9 hole. You do the little things. One sacrifice on the year for O'Malley.
2-1. If you're a manager, though, any manager has seen the deterioration of bunting skills over the years. It's got to make you a little hesitant to even put the play on. How many have we seen bunt attempts for sacrifices that have failed miserably?
It's kind of a lost art in the game. Not as much by the 3, 4, 5, 6 hitters in the lineup, but the guys that are in the bottom part of the lineup.
Swinging a foul, 2-2 with the bunt off.
You can almost tell O'Malley's still trying to hit, inside out that ball. Try to hit it over to Dozier or Vargas if he can. So you may not do it by the bunt, but you could do it with the bat, swinging and trying to hit it toward right field. But with two strikes, a little more difficult.
Fouled back. Santiago has 137 strikeouts in 172 innings. He hasn't struck out anyone yet. Two and 2 to O'Malley. High fly to left. And that'll send Grossman back to the warning track. He is there for the catch, and that ball nearly carried.
And Sucre did not tag up at second base. So the Twins get a break, really. O'Malley driving it to the warning track, and Sucre went halfway. So that ball just kept drifting back. Grossman catching it on the warning track.
Grossman with the catch, and that deep fly ball is good as a strikeout. With Sucre still at second base, and now Guillermo Heredia. Pop foul into the seats.
I mentioned his first at bat, Heredia from Cuba. He started this season in Double-A, moved up to Triple-A, combined to hit 393 games in the minor leagues. Not much power.
And another foul. 2 strikes.
Santiago first came up with the Chicago White Sox basically as a reliever, so he has a lot of relief appearances in his career, but in his career making his 7th career start against the Mariners. 4 wins, 2 losses, good ERA at 2.72.
Checked his swing, 1 and 2.
He's got a quick arm. He's got a very short stride, Santiago does. He'll actually step toward that first baseline, almost toward the left-handed hitter's batter's box, and then throw across his body.
Popped up. Vargas backpedaling, and Kepler calls him off. 2 down. T-Mobile greater coverage of baseball. What an incredible career it's been for Vin Scully. His final Dodgers home game today. Imagine 67 years with one team. And he said he doesn't want to do the postseason games for the Dodgers because he doesn't want his farewell to be a distraction for the team. And you grew up listening to him. I had the pleasure of meeting him back in 2005. It's really the end of an era. So many.
It's unbelievable. 67 years. I mean, he said he started first when he was 8 years old listening to football games on a transistor radio, and that got him interested in.
Well, I bet it wasn't a transistor radio, probably one of those big old consoles. Up and away. He was gracious enough to do an interview with us when we went out to Dodger Stadium in 2005. And, some Viking fans might remember that he was on the Viking beat for CBS, the CBS television network, for a number of years. Did a lot of football games at Metropolitan Stadium. Fouled away.
He did some golf events. He did everything.
Really, when you think about it, though, and I know you got a chance to have some dealings with the likes of Ernie Harwell and Chuck Thompson in Baltimore, those older baseball broadcasters that were so critical to the development, to the popularity of this game.
The Halsey Halls and the Herb Cardinals.
Yeah. 1-1.
And the Ray Scotts. Yep.
Harry Carey, Jack Buck. I mean, those, you know, it was my pleasure to meet so many of them, including Mr. Scully, and they always treated not just fellow broadcasters, but, you know, maintenance people at the ballpark, whatever, with such class and dignity. 2-1. And now 3-1. Santiago on the verge of stranding Sucre at second after his leadoff double. But he's got to get Gutierrez here, who sent Buxton all the way to the wall in the first inning.
Yeah, 17th pitch of the inning for Santiago. He likes to pitch those right-handers inside. Centeno going back in.
This one hit to center. Buxton has it measured. End of the inning. A leadoff double by Sucre. He doesn't even touch third base. Northland Ford. Visit northlandford.com and your local Northland Ford dealer today. And by Grand Casino. The best stories start here. What's yours? Twins try try to finish an otherwise disappointing home schedule with a series win against a contending team. They lead it 2-1, and Jorge Polanco will lead off the third. First pitch strike. It will be Polanco, Mauer, and Sano. And now 0-2. There are players who have been over the last week or so and will for the final week be given some time off. And there are players like Polanco and Kepler. Tapped up the line and right to the bag. Lynn steps on the bag, or Lee rather, one away. Carsoup.com trivia question, our last home trivia question. We are 80 for 80 at home. Which pitcher holds the Mariners' all-time record for wins in a season?
First comes to mind, you think of Randy Johnson.
And some other good ones. Mark Langston, Gaylord Perry won his 300th game with the Mariners. Here's Mauer, bounced into a double play his first time up. Started to say, you know, a week left in the season, and we expect to see people in and out of the lineup, but there are a few core players that Paul Molitor will leave in the lineup on just about a daily basis, and the intent there is to make sure that they get pushed all the way through to the end of September, because they've not done it before, and as fatigued as they might be, as mentally wiped out as they might be, to condition them for future years. And I think you can put Polanco in there, Kepler in there, Sano if his back will allow him to. Buxton, exactly.
Yeah, it's very important. You know, you build up that 6-month endurance rather than the 5-month endurance that you have in the minor leagues.
And when you say endurance, you're not talking just physically. In fact, maybe even more mentally. The focus that you require. It's I equate it to first time you go out and play golf. Now, not for you, because you play golf 12 months out of the year. But when I go out, and I think most people, when they go out the first time, 9 holes mentally is about enough, because you've got it takes an awful lot of focus to play golf well. Mauer swings and misses and strikes out, and then you have to build yourself up mentally to someday play 18, or if you're lucky, I guess, 36.
Right. Well, Walker right there, high fastball to Joe Mauer, picks up his 4th strikeout.
That'll bring up Sano, who was called out on strikes his first time up.
And then also not only the everyday players, it's also for the pitching staff too. You know, the Duffys. I know Duffy was with the club last year at the end, but for Barrios and guys like that, build those innings up.
The hope is next year in September, it'll resemble more last September than this September, where the team will be in contention.
Let's hope so.
Games will be important.
Yes.
1 strike. And Sano takes a ball 1-1. 50th pitch coming up for Taijuan Walker. Pulled foul. It's the corner of the dugout. Karam's over by the tarp.
You know, we saw Cruz Storen last night in relief, and we talked about his delivery, how he slowed up to get to that balance point, and it's almost the same thing that Mel Stottlemyre Jr. has had Walker do. You know, don't rush toward home plate. Make sure you gather yourself over that pitching rubber, and then explode toward home plate like that.
Line fair down the line. And Sano rounds first, digging for second, and he'll have a double. Well, he's now hit for the cycle in this series against the Mariners. Got a triple here on Friday night, a home run yesterday, a single, and now a double.
You know, the first pitch that he took, and he's talking to Cano right there, good friends. Sano looks up to Cano. That breaking ball left up a little bit. And Sano taking advantage of it, lining it right down that third base line into left field. So for Sano, his 22nd double of the year. And it's a 2-out double.
Here's Kepler, homered to right field his first time up, and he takes ball 1. It was his first home run at Target Field
in nearly 2 months.
Yeah, since July 28th, when he hit one here in Baltimore against the Baltimore Orioles.
Kepler got some time off because of a sprained neck after colliding with the wall down in the right field corner.
Picked up a hit in last night's ball game. Home run so far in this ball game.
Up and away, 3-0. First base is open. Vargas is on deck. Kepler with 17 home runs, and remember, he didn't hit his first home run till June, the walk-off home run against the Red Sox on June 12th.
It's Matt Barnes, the game winner in the 10th inning.
Down the middle of strike.
He's had 8 home runs here at Target Field. Of course, then California map, 9 on the road.
Pick it up right here. Ready to go.
And 5 of those 9 in Cleveland.
And Kepler takes a walk, and he'll go to first, and Sano will go to third.
That should be a pass ball right there off of Sucre's glove.
And Vargas will come up with runners on the corners. 2017 season tickets are on sale. You can choose from a full season, a partial season, or the flex plan. All season ticket packages include membership in Sweet Spot, Twins season ticket benefits and rewards program. You can go to twinsbaseball.com or call 612-375-7454.
Yeah, Walker walking his second batter, but the ball getting away from Sucre. It is called a pass ball, allows Sano to get the third.
Vargas called out on strikes his first time up. On the outside corner.
Take a look at his pitch right here. Ball kind of in and out of the glove of Sucre. 2 outs, runners at the corners.
1 strike to Vargas.
Kepler at first base, 5 stolen bases in 7 attempts. And clubs have run against Walker on the mound, 14 stolen bases in 15 attempts.
No.
Vargas toting an attractive .520 slugging percentage into the game. 4 home runs from each side of the plate. 2-1.
Dangerous pitch to a very strong man, Kenny Vargas.
He's trying to get some damage done here after the second out. Sano doubled, Kepler walked, and now 3-1 to Vargas.
This will be pitch number 62 for Walker.
Challenged him with a fastball, and Vargas swung and missed. Full count, 2 down. Kepler will leave early from first. Lee will play behind him.
He added a little extra on that fastball. We see 91, 92. That was a 94-mile-an-hour fastball.
Fouled back. Kepler will return to first.
Twins lead the season series over the Mariners 4 games to 1.
And foul back again. Kepler will return to first base. You know, that's one thing as you look at this season. We still have a week to go, but if you look at the season, it's been disappointing in so many fronts and odd too. I think it's fair to say that the highlights, such as there have been many, typically come on the road. The 3-game sweep in Seattle, they were a first place team at the time, taking 3 out of 4 in Texas. High fly to left field, and Heredia will walk, now drift back and make the catch, and the Twins put together a threat but leave 2 aboard in the 3rd. Our Toyota key stat this afternoon. Robinson Cano has had a good series again here, hitting .320 against the Twins since 2005.
Some pretty good names on there too, with starting with Pedroia, Jeter, Ichiro, Ordonez.
And it is Cano leading off the 4th. He'll be followed by Nelson Cruz and Kyle Seager. Cano popped up to Sano. His first time up. Fouled back a strike. We've been teasing the interview that we had with Cano and Sano in our pregame today. There's a ball inside. One benefit, you touched on it yesterday, the one benefit that Robinson Cano has had that Miguel Sano has not, although last year the Twins were contending up until the very end, is being surrounded by established major league players who could subtly, if not directly, mentor him in terms of how things are done. The Yankees were really good for a long time before Cano ended up signing his deal with the Mariners. So we're going to foul back 2-2.
Well, here a couple of days ago, he picked up 4 hits. Picked up a couple of hits in last night's ball game. Driven in a couple runs. He has scored 3 runs. You know, 7-time All-Star, 2-time Gold Glove winner. Again, coming into this year, a .307 hitter with pop.
Fouled away.
33 home runs, tying a career high in home runs. 33 home runs one season with the Yankees.
Two and 2 to the leadoff man in the 4th. Cruz in the on deck circle. Driven foul.
Victor Santiago, all about changing speeds too, different angles. You know, he'll throw a lot of pitches in a short amount of time. This will be pitch number 50.
Low, 3-2. Low might hit his way on. You don't want to walk him because of who's hitting behind him. Cruz has already done more than his share of damage. And Santiago would like to face him with the bases empty. And another foul flipped into the seats.
You know, when the Detroit Tigers were here, we're talking about Victor Martinez about every at-bat. Feels like it might be his last. And you can almost say the same thing about anybody that's a 300-plus hitter. Their intensity, what they try to do with the baseball. You hope that the pitcher makes a mistake.
On the line, and it'll be chased by Grossman. And goes back.
Good hitters foul off nasty pitches until you throw enough pitches to a hitter. I know that you're going to make a mistake. And good hitters are waiting on that. The Wade Boggs, the Rod Cruz, the Tony Olivas type hitters.
Santiago's thrown a lot of pitches in this opening at bat of the 4th inning.
Pitch number 10.
That's to left center. Grossman is there for the catch, 1 away. And that will mean that Cruz will hit with the bases empty. He's hit a home run in all 3 games. And 1 taken away by Byron Buxton.
Yeah, that one against Tommy Malone a couple days ago off the limestone to straightaway center. And in last night's ball game, he crushed that ball right there. The measure at 493 feet in the 3rd deck. Both of those 2-run home runs. And then here today, in his first at-bat, tied the game at 1 apiece in the 2nd inning.
Also been 2 ringing doubles on the home run that Buxton robbed from him. So yeah, he's done more than his share of damage in this series. And Santiago floats one over, strike 1. Fouled away, 2 strikes. Games, 9 home runs, 18 runs batted in. A couple of the longest home runs ever hit here. Remember when he was with the Rangers, he hit one up into the 3rd deck.
Let's see if Santiago goes in right here, Dick. You know, and last night it just got to bust him hard in. And Santiago, that's kind of his game plan. He will throw right-handers in, and Centeno's sitting inside. He didn't get it in far enough, but.
Oh my, a low throw, and Vargas can't dig it out. Polanco's come up with some short throws here in recent weeks. And Cruz reaches, even though he should have been retired. It'll be another Twins error.
Yeah, that ball didn't get in hard enough or far enough, and allowed Cruz, who likes to open up quickly. He hit this ball sharply, a 1-hopper to Polanco. And Polanco getting it on the grass, and then the throw across the diamond low, and Vargas. So one of the hardest things for a first baseman to pick right there, right in front of you. I hope that it stays in the glove. It just bounced out.
Well, Vargas, that one was easier than the one Vargas successfully picked that Sano threw him last night.
Well, you better. I mean, I think you talked to. They'd rather have it fast than that little lob, because I don't know what that ball's going to do.
Yeah, and I think you're right in looking at it again today a couple of times. Sano's throw, he threw it so hard it couldn't possibly take a bad hop.
No.
1-0 to Seager. On the ground, Vargas will get the lead runner, return throw, and the throw off target with both Vargas and Santiago on the bag. No error. There'll be no advance because the ball did not go into the camera well.
But an on-target throw might have made an interesting play. There were 2 gloves that would be reaching for the throw.
Well, normally as a pitcher you get over there to cover, but because of where Vargas caught that ball, he threw a P over to Polanco, and then the return throw
nowhere near the bag.
And luckily it did not go into the camera well.
I mean,
yeah, that's not close.
Ordinarily that ball, when it gets by the first baseman, goes into the camera well. It was so off target it hit the wall instead.
Bob Feller would say that Polanco threw him the old sailor, the old Navy pitch.
I would imagine they still do it, but I mean, you know, when players are signed, if they're sent to the instructional league, it used to be, you know, one of the things that players were taught was automatically, with the ball being thrown to you, get it out of the glove and get a good grip, cross the seams grip rather than with the seams. And it looked like, you're right, that Polanco that time might have thrown that one with the seams and it just sailed. When I worked games with Harmon Killebrew, he'd say that was one of the first things he learned when he was a young baseball player. Didn't learn it, of course, in Payette, Idaho, but when he signed professionally, to get a grip out of your glove that would cause a straight throw rather than one that sailed.
And how do you get that more with the seams? You put your fingers across the seams.
Right.
And that ball that Polanco had, maybe he didn't throw it without the seams, and that creates almost a sail type of effect. As Bob Feller would say, threw him the old sailor.
1-1 to Daiho Lee. Twice this inning now. The Twins have given the Mariners an extra out. Now it's 2-1 to the powerful first baseman.
Yeah, Lee in his first season with the Mariners, coming over from South Korea, where he spent 15 seasons between South Korea and Japan.
High fly center field. And Buxton back. On the track, makes the catch. And Santiago pitches around the Polanco error. It's still 2-1. Download the app. Take Fox Sports North, Twins baseball, Timberwolves basketball, Wild hockey. Take it with you wherever you go. We will be televising the 6 remaining games on the road. 3 in Kansas City, 3 in Chicago. There's Santiago and Vargas talking a little bit, I'm guessing, about the return throw and their positioning at first base.
Well, I think you saw that Vargas had his foot on the bag, and Santiago was right there. He was there in case Vargas couldn't get back. So
plays generally are better executed if you leave the pitcher out of it, aren't they?
I agree, especially like that, because you're running over there, you're trying to find the bag, and and then you're trying to find the ball. Yeah, sometimes that doesn't work out.
Grossman leading off, 2 strikes, and now up high. But give Vargas some credit on that play. We've not had a chance to see his arm much, and he ran it over there to second base with some urgency.
Yes, he had something on that throw.
And then got back to the bag. The ball poked to left, and Grossman has a base hit to left. He has got 2 hits, and starting to see Grossman pick things up from the left side of the plate.
I'll tell you what, he picked up 4 hits the other day as a left-handed hitter, but this good piece of hitting right here taking that ball the other way.
Which pitcher holds the Mariners' all-time record for wins in a season? I'm going to say Mike Moore.
Could it be King Felix or Randy Johnson?
Jamie Moyer, who did it in 2003 at the age of 61.
He did pitch forever.
Here's Centeno.
Good for him.
Grossman flushed back to the bag. Mike Moore won 18 before he defected and went to Oakland. And he's not even on the top 6 list there. Grossman takes off, and the pitch chopped back to the mound and nearly thrown away, and Lee almost sat on the bag and got his left foot on the bag. And the fact that Grossman took off on a hit and run kept the Twins out of a double play.
Yeah, Walker got that one hopper back. He thought about going to second, and then he had plenty of time to make the throw over to first, but he heard his throw, and Lee caught that ball on the ground and able to get his body on the bag. So you see Grossman taking off. He thought about it and then threw it low to Lee. Lee able to get the out at first.
Here's Buxton with Grossman at second, 1 away. Squaring to bunt, taking ball 1.
It's one thing we haven't seen a lot of this year are hit and runs by the Twins or even the opposing teams. It's the age of the long ball. Why try a hit and run when you're looking for the 2 or 3 run home run?
1-0 to Buxton. Driven to left, a base hit. Grossman to third, and that'll be enough. The throw coming home, cut off by Seager. So Buxton with a bullet to left. First and third, 1 away.
Yeah, Walker leaving some pitches up this inning. Twins now have 7 hits in a ball game. Ball about bell tie. Good swing by Byron Buxton, lining it into left field. Nothing Grossman could do other than wait, make sure it hit the turf, and got over to third. So another opportunity for Brian Dozier here to knock in his 100th run. I like his chances right here.
Well, we haven't made many calls this year, but I'm going to make one here. I think Brian Dozier is going to drive in 3 runs in this at bat.
Okay.
You've been particularly timid in making calls this year.
Yeah, I just haven't felt it. You got to feel it.
Popped up. Oh my. And Cano.
That's the worst that could happen right there to Brian.
On 1 pitch. Twins aren't the only ones who are struggling this year. That was a horrible call on my part.
Yes, it was. But you know what? Sometimes when you're going for, and he knows that he's 1 RBI away from joining that club that we showed you earlier. Just maybe trying to do a little bit too much right there.
Huh.
Now we need a 2-out hit. Any inkling about Polanco here? Oh, wise one.
Let me pull my Karnak turban out. Maybe the best call I ever made was against the Mariners in Seattle, and I called a Michael Kadire home run. But
on the other end of the spectrum, there was my call here a few moments ago. That was embarrassingly bad.
I was hoping that he'd knock in his 100th run, and you were hoping he'd knock in 102 runs.
Well,
we're only up here hoping. That's all we are. If we had any control, we wouldn't.
I should have known that. It's been almost 2 weeks since the Twins have had a multi-run inning. So who was I to think that they were going to get 3 with one swing of the bat? And Polanco with a strike.
Slow curveball right there by Walker.
Fox track presented by Ram. Good pitch in a good spot. And Polanco tried to hit a 3-run home run. Last time the Twins scored more than 1 run in an inning, it was September 13th. They scored 5 runs in the 4th inning against Matt Boyd. They settle for 1 right now. Just 1 here in the 4th inning. 0-2. And the Mariners sinking with 2 strikes. The Twins might be a little aggressive with Buxton, who was thrown out in his last stolen base attempt.
He's got 9 stolen bases in the 11 attempts.
Buxton goes, and the pitch outside. They won't throw. So now a hit to the outfield could give the Twins that multi-run inning.
Well, he got a good jump right there on the right pitch. A big slow curveball. And Sucre, the catcher, just tried to frame the curveball. Forgot about Buxton. No chance anyway.
And Polanco strikes out. And the Twins left 2 on in the 2nd, 2 on in the 3rd. And as it turned out, because of my horrible call, 2 on in the 4th.
It's all your fault.
In the Minnesota Lottery winner's circle, we have $100 worth of scratch-off tickets for Catherine from Apple Valley, who is celebrating her birthday today with her sister and her nephew at the baseball game. Happy birthday, Catherine.
Thank you.
What are you doing today that has you kind of fired up? You've been sitting here cheering on these Twins. What's exciting about today?
Just here having a good time.
Having a good time and making your nephew buy you this brand new sweatshirt, I heard.
Yep.
Is the family having fun today? Nephew is like recording this whole thing and putting it on Snapchat or Facebook.
It's all about the Snapchat, guys. Woo! Go Twins! Shaggy!
Well, happy birthday, young lady, and you're here by circle. Marnie, thank you. Thank you throughout the the season, finding the circle me Burts.
Martin takes up an in, and now it's 3-0 from Santiago. It'll be Martin, Sucre, and O'Malley. You know, that's as good an opportunity as any to, I think, share your opinion with mine. 4, and Martin draws a 4-pitch walk. One of the reasons this is always such a sad day for me is I enjoy coming here. This has been a disappointing year on the field, but I just love coming here and working with the people that I get a chance to work with, and you do too. And they make it very easy for us to love our jobs. And so we want to thank everybody who's been associated with Twins baseball. The wins and losses, the record hasn't been very good, but I can promise you, fans, you are able to watch Twins baseball thanks to the professionalism of some of the best in the business.
I'll ditto that. Unbelievable.
First pitch strike to Sucre, who doubled off the fence in center field his first time up.
Yeah, that walk by Santiago, his first walk, he is yet to have a strikeout. Changeup just missing down and away. See if he can get a ground ball right here. Santiago's had 11 double plays turned behind him, this being his 32nd start.
1-1 to Sucre. There goes the runner, and the pitch hammered to left. Sucre hitting 500 on the year, and he's just hit his second home run, and the Mariners are in front.
He jumped all over that. I don't know if that was a hit and run, but my goodness, that ball was left up. It's Sucre hitting a 2-run home run, second home run that Santiago's allowed.
We talked about the home runs, and the Twins are on the verge of hitting their 200th, but that's now the 217th home run they've allowed.
Yeah, fastball, you can see about letter high, and Sucre opening up quickly. This is a no-doubter right here, just like Cruz's home run was in the second.
A little leadoff walk, as it's done throughout this homestand, throughout the history of the game. Comes around to score, and the Mariners are in front. And they'll foul back. Mariners being given an opportunity here to close the gap perhaps on Detroit. The Tigers are down 11-5. Again, Matt Boyd didn't get out of the first inning. Now this one hit to right center field, down for a hit. Buxton fields and throws, but O'Malley goes to second with a stand-up double. And the Mariners have awakened here in the 5th.
Well, these are must wins for the Seattle Mariners as they find themselves, you know, trying to catch a spot in that wild card race. And there's a little breaking ball, something away. O'Malley is a switch hitter, hitting a little bit better as a right-handed hitter. Takes it into that right field gap and picks up a double, his 9th double of the year.
Still nobody out. And now Heredia will bat. Corner infielders are up. Squaring and taking strike one.
Heredia does not have a sacrifice yet this year. Squares around again.
Inside 1-1. The Orioles and Blue Jays have the advantage. It's important to note that even though Detroit is listed behind Baltimore, they're even in the loss column, and that's really all that matters. Baltimore's played one more game and they've won it. There's a bunt, a good one, and Sano will pick it up and fire to Dozier. On the play, O'Malley goes to third.
Heredia doing his job, advancing that runner O'Malley over to third base. Good sacrifice right there. You want that third baseman to come in and have to do what Sano did, field it. That opens up third base. Heredia getting high fives all around. Barehanded play again by Sano, And Brian Dozier becomes the first baseman, gets the out.
Infield in now for Franklin Gutierrez. Infield in and shifted. You see Dozier at the bottom of your screen has swung over to the left side of the infield. And a strike that covers the inside corner.
Mentioned Santiago doesn't have a strikeout yet. This would be the spot to get it.
2 outfield flies so far for Gutierrez.
He struck out about once every 4 at bats.
Breaking ball over, and it's 0-2. He doesn't throw it as often as we thought, but he's got a swing and miss pitch, that changeup, that screwball type pitch that he only says he throws about 10 or 12 times a game.
Centeno sitting inside, hard breaking ball. I left it up.
Lifted foul.
You're heading the count right here. You want to bury that ball down and in. That's I think what Santiago tried to do. Some action in the Twins bullpen. Alex Wimmer's getting up.
Two strikes to Gutierrez. That was the pitch right there. You could see the tail on that pitch, but it was a foot outside. And it's 1-2.
Well, Gutierrez, you can see that ball's 3 feet outside. Gutierrez likes to extend those arms. You got to pitch this guy hard in, but get it in there.
Verlander short right. Kepler with the catch, retreating to the bag, trying to score as O'Malley. He just bluffs. O'Malley got all mixed up there. He did not get on the bag when the catch was made. He had to retreat to the bag, and that eliminated any chance of tagging.
We've seen a couple base running mistakes already by Seattle. Sucre with that high fly ball off the bat of O'Malley in the 3rd inning didn't tag up from 2nd to 3rd. And here, see O'Malley right there. His first step was toward home. By the time he went back, Kepler got that ball back in quickly. Watch O'Malley right there. Just a poor decision right there.
And now Cano with a runner at 3rd and 2 down. First pitch strike. The infamous game 163. That was Alexi Casillas' mistake. And what should have been a game-ending fly ball in the 10th inning. To center, Buxton hardly has to move. The Mariners get a 2-run home run from their backup catcher to take a 3-2 lead. Mountain Dew fan of the game. Baseball fan hoping that the Twins can come back, having just surrendered the lead to the Mariners. Joe Mauer will lead things off. Back in the lineup, but it's been another frustrating day at the plate for him. A ground ball double play in the first, and then he struck out on a high fastball in the third.
Now, looking at that young man with his beard, I know during the winter you let your beard come in, do you not?
Yeah, fly ball left field, and it'll carry Heredia near the track, 1 away. MLB.TV Premium, the #1 live streaming sports service, delivers everything you've come to expect and more. Watch every out-of-market game live in HD on over 400 supported devices. It includes a free subscription to @Bat Premium, the #1 app for live baseball. Blackout, other restrictions apply. Visit MLB.TV for details.
His beard looked like, it was pretty dark. Did yours come in dark?
Dark is such a relative term. It's not as dark. Mine is not as dark as it used to be. And you brought that up because you saw the Christmas card last year. And you know exactly what color my beard will be this offseason.
Well, they have stuff out there now that you can color it.
All right.
To keep it dark.
A strike, now a ball. 1-1 to Sano. Doubled down the left field line his last time up. Big swing and a miss, 1-2. Kepler will hit next. And Sano chases a high fastball, 2 down.
Strikeout number 6 for Walker.
Max Kepler's rookie season has, for the most part, been a success story. For more on Kepler, let's go to Marnie Gelman.
Well, Dick, Kepler ran into the wall on Wednesday night chasing a foul ball, and he was out of the game on Friday and then back in the lineup yesterday. And he told me that it's because he wants as many opportunities as he can. That never was it a thought to maybe just shutting it down for the season. He said if anything, he was just mostly frustrated for getting hurt on a play like that, because as he explained, these are important games, and even though we're down to the last stretch of the season, this is important playing time for a guy like Max Kepler.
Well, he got in on the trademark and a little dribbler to Cano.
Yeah, thank you, Marnie.
And a quick 1, 2, 3, 5th for Taijuan Walker. It's the Mariners now in front by a run. Season at home, hoping to go to 31 and 50 on the home schedule, and then they finish the season on the road for a week. Cruz will lead off the 6th.
3 games in Kansas City and 3 in Chicago,
which will not have any playoff implication at all for the Royals. They're hoping to finish the season above 500. Cruz with a big swing, and something happened. Cruz. I don't know if it's his wrist or what, but he took a wild swing and tweaked something.
Grabbing his left arm.
We've already had home plate umpire Jerry Lane leave in the top of the first inning, and now Cruz with some issue. Left wrist, it looks like. I see that, and the first thing I think about, every hitters many times will have the knob of the bat hit the fleshy part of the bottom of the hand, and you can see that Cruz is one of those hitters that grabs the bat very low on the knob. In other words, that knob presses right up against that hamate bone, and sometimes that's how those hamate bones get cracked, with the knob, the compression on the fleshy part of the hand. And he's going to try to continue the at bat. Hunter Wendell said probably, "Hey, you want me to finish the at bat for you?" Like, wasn't supposed to be behind the plate either, but this could be my fantasy day. One strike to Cruz. See what happens if he swings again. A liner to left and gone.
Oh, that he set him up or what?
That's unbelievable.
Second home run in the game for Cruz, home run number 41. Now that's a deke or not, but my goodness, Cruz jumping all over that fastball as Santiago comes back and tries to throw that same fastball that he swung and missed on strike one.
Turns out he did continue the at bat, and it lasted one pitch. He still looked like something was still hurting him. A little bit of a grimace as he followed through, but his fourth home run of the series, and it's 4-2. Over the inside corner to Seager. Well, it's of concern to the Mariners because they're still in the race, and he's their most important hitter.
Yep.
And the trainer talking with him now. It's in the dirt to the backstop, 2-1.
Well, third home run of the ball game that Santiago has allowed. Giving up 33 on the year.
Foul back. Houston on the heels of the Mariners, and they're leading the Angels 3-1. Bottom of the seventh inning at Minute Maid Park. Foul. Now, because Cruz is the designated hitter, we really won't know what his status is for the balance of this game until his spot in the lineup comes around again. 2-2 to Seager. Almost into the Seattle radio booth. '90th pitch coming up for Santiago. All the Mariner runs scoring on home runs. And another foul. On the ground, Vargas scoops it to the bag, one away. That'll bring up Lee. Fox Sports Supports is proud to team up with Positive Coaching Alliance and its mission to develop better athletes, better people by working to provide all youth and high school athletes a positive character building sports experience. Visit foxsportsupports.com to learn more. One down, and now Lee, who's bounced to short and sent Buxton to the warning track in center field. Fouled over the Twins dugout, strike one. And a line drive off the glove of Polanco. And it should be the shortstop's second error. Will allow for the fact that it may have knuckled its way out there, but that ball needs to be caught.
They do give him an error, his second of the ball game, as you mentioned. Lee hitting the ball sharply, but Polanco right there just ricocheted off his glove. Right off the tip of the glove.
And now Martin walked and scored in the fifth. Fouled over by the tarp, one strike. Sympathize with Martin and those in baseball who knew Jose Fernandez well. Martin wanting to play today, despite the tragic loss of his friend Jose Fernandez. And he chases and strikes out, two down.
And the first strikeout of the ball game for Hector Santiago.
Bring Paul Molitor out. Jesus Sucre has had a feast today on Hector Santiago with a double and a two-run home run. And rather than tempt fate a third time, we'll have a pitching change. Santiago strikes out Martin, and now he'll leave the game with the Twins down 4-2. Runs allowed, 4 runs allowed. And with 2 gone in the 6th, he'll check out. And Alex Wimmers will come in to try to keep this a 4-2 ball game.
Yeah, Wimmers making his 13th appearance. He called up from AAA back on August 26th. 1-3 out of the bullpen. Picked up the loss in game 1 here on Thursday against the Tigers.
10 walks too high, but they mostly came in his early appearances. He's settled down somewhat. Done a really good job with inherited runners. He's inherited 4 of them. None have scored. Mariners have a runner, Lee at first, 2 down, and Jesus Sucre the batter. 11 hits in 20 at bats on the season. And a double and a home run already today. Ball 1.
Sucre spent some time on a disabled list this year.
outside corner. Toronto, the wild card leader, leading the Yankees 2-1 in the 9th inning at the Rogers Center. Baltimore leading Arizona 2-1 in the 8th at Camden Yards. Blocked nicely by Centeno. 2-1.
What we have seen from Wimmers is a good fastball, mid-90s at times, curveball, and a very good changeup. That last pitch, a changeup, low.
And the fastball gets a swing and a miss. 2-2. O'Malley on deck should the inning be extended. On the ground, Sano has the ball come up, picks it up, fires, and still got him. Well, not a clean play by Sano, but the arm strength comes in handy. He submarined his throw right on target to get Sucre at first.
When you watch kids play Little League or something like that, that's the joy that Jose played with and the passion he felt about playing. That's what I think about.
Such a painful day in baseball, especially for those who knew Jose Fernandez, who was killed in a boating accident overnight. Kenny Vargas with a swing and a miss.
Very, very tough to reminisce.
Robinson Cano wearing a commemorative message. And fouled back by Vargas. As we said in the pregame, the closest parallel I think we have had in the Twins organization was Kirby Puckett's premature passing in spring training. When I mentioned baseball and grief, Vargas on a check swing is retired to Paul Molitor. That's what he mentioned. The sudden news that Kirby had suffered a stroke and whose outcome was all but inevitable.
Yeah, in Miami at Marlins Park. They're remembering Jose Fernandez.
The Braves Marlins game today canceled, not postponed, canceled. The challenge is going to come tomorrow because the Marlins are supposed to play a home game tomorrow against the Mets. And frankly, anyone in the Marlins organization could be forgiven if they don't really care about the game of baseball, but that game needs to be played.
It'll be played, Dick, and you know what? Jose Fernandez will be looking up and down at his players and saying, you know what? Win it for me. Win one for me. I guarantee it. and the players will go out there with that attitude.
Needs to be played because of the wild card race. The Mets are very much in the middle of things on the National League side. It's one thing to call off a game between two teams that aren't contending. Proper thing to do, but rather abruptly, baseball or life as normal is going to have to be restored tomorrow on the baseball side of things. 1-2 to Grossman. 2 hits, 2 singles against Taijuan Walker.
Yeah, there'll be a lot of heavy hearts, but again, they'll play the game. They will play the game, and they'll play it with maybe more intensity than maybe they've had for a while.
And Grossman to the gap in left center field, to right center field, and that will beat Gutierrez. Grossman will round second and hold up with a double. He continues to show great improvement from the left side of the plate.
Well, hanging breaking balls help too. But Grossman 3 for 3 in a ball game, a couple singles in his first 2 at bats, and then gets a breaking ball up here and stayed back nicely. Hit that gap out in right center. Gutierrez, the right fielder, couldn't catch up to it. Gets by him all the way to the wall. So Grossman picking up his 19th double.
Twins had a chance to add to their lead in innings 2, 3, and 4. Now they're down a couple of runs because they didn't add to the lead. See what Centeno can do. Fouled back a strike. Centeno with a walk, and he reached on a fielder's choice.
Yeah, Walker has not really been at his best. Again, a couple starts ago, he threw a 3-hit shutout against the Angels, but Twins have had their opportunities.
Right off the end of the bat, foul. 6 men have been left on, 4 of them in scoring position. Nick Vincent getting loose in the Seattle bullpen. Twins have out-hit the Mariners 8-5, but the Mariners have hit 3 home runs, and the Twins have hit just 1. Centeno up the middle, and that'll bleed through for a hit. Grossman around third. He will score, and it's a 4-3 ball game. Not hit well, but in a really good spot.
They got jammed a little bit, but fought it off, hit it right back up the middle. So Centeno picking up on RBI, his 22nd of the year, as Grossman scores. It's a 4-3 game.
That'll bring up Buxton. It'll also bring out Scott Service. Walker, again, not at the very top of his game, but he will leave the ball game here with the Mariners leading 4-3. He is responsible, of course, for Centeno at first. A 1-run lead for the Mariners here in the 6th. Colin Cowherd and Jason Whitlock do? The brains to know and the guts to say. Catch Colin and Jason as they team up for FS1's daily sports talk show, Speak for Yourself. Weekdays at 4 p.m. Central.
Well, right-hander Nick Vincent coming out of the bullpen, making his 56th relief appearance. 4 wins, 4 losses out of that bullpen. 55 2/3 innings, 47 hits allowed. He's allowed 9 home runs, 14 walks, 5 intention. So pretty good control, 61 strikeouts. Vincent coming over from the Padres organization at the end of spring training for a player to be named later.
Here's Byron Buxton. Buxton with a single and a stolen base his last time up. Right off the end of the bat, a little pop-up short right. Cano will settle under it. And Buxton gone on 1 pitch, 2 down.
A little hanging slider right there, and Buxton off the end of the bat is the second out. Vincent comes in, gets the first out on 1 pitch. Goes a bit across his body. Almost like a little sailor, a little cut fastball type slider.
Buxton was just upset that he missed, or whether he did something to his hand. He kind of flexed his hand as he popped that ball up. Here's Brian Dozier. Dozier single and a run scored, 1 for 3, and he takes strike 1. Outside.
Vincent, 31 years old, 4 seasons with the San Diego Padres, starting in 2012. Up and down all 4 years between AAA and the minor leagues and the Padres.
Did mean to on a roller foul, 1-2.
A lot of sliders, cut fastballs from Vincent so far. In his 4 pitches.
One and 2 to Dozier. Popped up, backing out of play. A light mist is falling here at Target Field. Last time I checked, we weren't expecting any major precipitation. One and 2 to Dozier. And a pop up to short right. Cano out again. And the Twins get one back on back-to-back hits, but again, the Twins scoring runs these days 1 at a time, and they still trail by 1. Casino story of the game with the Mariners up a run.
Well, Twins took an early 1-0 lead, but Cruz made it 1-1 with his 40th home run of the year in the second inning. Max Kepler in the second inning made it a 2-1 Twins lead. But then Sucre in the fifth inning, a 2-run home run, gave the Seattle Mariners a 3-2 lead, and then Cruz for his second time in a ball game, a solo home run. Twins just came back with one of their own in the bottom of the sixth.
Well, they haven't amputated the left hand, so it looks like Cruz is going to get another at bat here. It'll be O'Malley, Heredia, and Gutierrez facing Alex Wimmers. Crack foul, 1-1. Mariners go to Houston after the game, and they have a chance to drive a nail into Houston's coffin in terms of postseason consideration. Astros are trying to hang in there. They're behind the Mariners in the standings. They're leading the Angels 4-1 top of the ninth. Baltimore leading 2-1 top of the ninth. And the Royals leading the Tigers 11-7 in the eighth. Yankees came back to take a lead on the Blue Jays 3-2 in the bottom of the ninth. So things are heating up. Swing and a miss and a strikeout. First out of the seventh inning.
A good hard breaking ball there by Wimmers, picking up his first strikeout, second batter he's faced. Good tight rotation on this breaking ball. And O'Malley swings through it.
And a breaking ball, strike one to Heredia. Off the plate, 1-1. Two and one.
Change up right there, missing low.
Up the middle and through for a hit. Heredia's first. That'll bring up Gutierrez. It's not too early to start planning your 2017 celebrations at Target Field. Target Field suites are available for single game rental for groups of 16 to 150 plus. You can enjoy a climate controlled experience and a great view of a Twins game with food and beverage included. Learn more at twinsbaseball.com/groups or call 833 Twins to schedule your suite at Target Field. Gutierrez with 3 outfield flies. Swing and a miss. And now 1-1. Now 2-1. Given the state of affairs in the baseball department with the Twins, Twins have an interim general manager, but no full-time general manager has been named. There'll be another person apparently above him in the hierarchy. I don't know that, especially after what happened this year, that any or very many positions will be considered locks for the Twins. Up high 3-1. I don't know that the Twins, whoever the new people will be in position to take anything for granted. I think some things were assumed that would happen in 2016 that haven't come close to being realized. But
within that, I think Wimmers has pitched well enough to be in the discussion for a bullpen spot next year.
Well, it'll be an interesting winter. What the Twins organization, first of all, to pick a baseball of president, basically, of operations, and then who the new general manager will be, and what he wants to do with this ball club.
Should
Turn
be
it
two.
up and play.
Polanco, the Dozier to Vargas, a double play. Takes care of business in the 7th, so Wimmers gets 4 outs from 4 batters and comes off the mound with the Twins down a run. For the last time here at Target Field, it is our pleasure on a Sunday afternoon to bring you God Bless America.
Ladies and gentlemen, please rise as 2016 audition winner and sophomore at the Breck School, 15-year-old Penny Mae Grothe leads us in the singing of God Bless America.
God bless America, land that I love. Stand beside her and guide her through the night with the light from above, from the mountains to the prairies, to the oceans white with foam. God bless America, my home, sweet home. God bless America, my home, sweet home.
Down by a run, going to the bottom of the 7th inning. This copyrighted telecast presented by the authority of the Minnesota Twins. It may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form, and the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Minnesota Twins, LLC.
Well, the Twins down a run, hitting in the bottom of the 7th. Jorge Polanco will lead things off. And first pitch, down and away, ball 1. Polanco with a single and 3 trips.
Nick Benson out there, who got the final 2 outs in the bottom of the 6th inning.
Blue Jays walked off the Yankees 4-3. Ben Gamel in right field.
So Gutierrez out of the ball game.
And now 2-1. It'll be Polanco, Mauer, and Sano here in the Twins 7th inning.
fly to right field. Gamble settles under it. One down. We'll bring up Mauer. Mauer with a double play grounder in the first, scoring the first run of the game, then a strikeout in the third and a fly to left in the fifth. And he averaged down to 261. It'll be interesting on the road to see how much Joe plays in the lineup today as a designated hitter because it's the final home game of the year. Outside, ball one.
Well, it's been a frustrating season for Joe.
Talked about it the other night, how what we've seen from Joe, flashes of about a couple weeks that remind us of what Joe was like, but then some periods of slumps that have been more prolonged than normal for whatever reason. 2-0. Very real chance that Mauer, if he reaches here because of the score, Twins down a run, he may be pinch run for. Three and 0 to Mauer. And a strike. 14 pitches, 8 strikes for Vincent. And inside, Mauer walks, and we'll see if the Twins make a move, getting Joe out of the game. Twins have Logan Schaefer, a pretty good runner. If they pinch run, I would imagine he would be the guy. But no move made, so Joe will stay in after drawing a 1-out walk. Sano will hit.
I think what the Twins have seen from Vincent so far, a lot of sliders, especially to right-handed hitters. Even on that 3-1 pitch to Joe, he tried that slider down and in. See if he can hang one here for Sano.
2 strikeouts and a double for Sano. Tap, foul.
Slider down and away.
Regarding Mauer maybe being pinch run for, I'm guessing one of the considerations is this is just the 7th inning. And Joe Spot may very easily come around again in the 9th if there is a bottom of the 9th. Sano hits a 2-run home run here, then there might not be a bottom of the 9th. That was a quasi call. Wasn't as direct as the one I made in the 4th inning. Right.
Well, another slider right here, just missing down and away.
Box tracks presented by Carrier. That slider gets a swing and a miss.
As I mentioned, Vincent has given up 9 home runs this year out of that bullpen, making his 56th relief appearance.
His 169th strikeout of the year for Miguel Sano, 2 down.
And Vincent picking up his first strikeout. Everything away, down and away, down and away. Great sitting. Ball about once more the fastball. That was not the slider. Fastball. Sano a little tardy.
Kepler with a home run, a walk, and a ground out. And a breaking ball over for a strike. There's in a pull shift for Kepler in the infield. Outfield playing about 5 steps deeper than normal. Trying to cut off the double. Fouled back, 0-2. Nomar Mazara, Gary Sanchez ahead of Kepler on the rookie home run list. Lee with 14. 2 strikes to Kepler. And a strikeout of Kepler. The Twins go quietly in the 7th.
With your Mall of America Studio Sports Update. The season is winding down, but Twins baseball continues here on Fox Sports North. The Twins visit the defending World Series champion Kansas City Royals. Join us. Our coverage begins Tuesday night on Fox Sports North at 5:30.
The Twins finish the season in Kansas City and Chicago, 2 wonderful cities. And there will not be any playoff implications for any of those 6 games. Royals got a wild game. The Tigers trying to come back. It's 11-9 going to the 9th inning in a critical game for the Tigers. Here's Robinson Cano. And strike 1 from Alex Winters. Cano, Cruz, and Seager in the 8th inning. Popped up near the Mariners dugout. Centeno squeezes it. Cano retired 1 away.
Yeah, Cano 0 for 4 in the ball game. Santiago pitched him well right there. Ball up, popped it straight up for the first out. Wimmers.
And yeah, this is interesting. Nelson Cruz is not coming to the plate. He did something to his left hand or wrist the pitch before he hit his 2nd home run of the game. And in a game the Mariners have to win, leading by 1 run, Cruz is unable to take his at bat. Seth Smith will hit in the DH spot instead.
Smith as a pinch hitter, 28 pinch hitting at bats, 6 hits, 1 home run. Cruz on this swing right here off of Santiago. That's, see him in pain right there, that left wrist area. And then on the next pitch, it's 2nd home run of the ball game.
Inside 2-0. Five batters, 5 outs for Wimmers. And now 3-0. Wimmers hasn't walked anyone. That's been his biggest issue up here, the high number of walks. But again, most of those came in his first handful of appearances. And a 4-pitch walk will put Smith aboard and bring up Kyle Seager.
And Paul Molitor coming out. So a good job by Wimmers. Did give up a hit and a walk. But worked 2 innings out of that bullpen.
And so Wimmers will come out. And Kyle Seager will hit against Ryan Presley.
Well, Alex Wimmers came in, worked an inning and 2/3, give up a hit and a walk. Got a double play ball off the bat of Gutierrez. And now Ryan Presley coming into the ball game. It's been a while for Ryan Presley being out on that mound. He last worked on Saturday on the road against the Mets, making his 71st relief appearance. Mist starting to come fall a little bit harder here.
Fitting, isn't it, with all the precipitation we've had this year. High fastball, a swing and a miss. Smith out of the game. Mike Freeman will run in his spot and take over the DH spot.
Seager wanting timeout.
Breaking ball over for a strike.
Well, Ryan's got a good breaking ball. Good tight rotation on this pitch.
2 strikes. Sano will swing over to the right side of the infield. Presley, the Iron Man of the Twins bullpen and one of the Iron Men in the American League. Now the Twins switching infielders on the right side. They've got Sano on the left side of the infield, and they brought Polanco over to the right side. Up and in, 1-2. Brian Shaw leading the league with 73 appearances. And the mist has officially transformed into a light rain. Fouled back, and a lot of the fans heading for cover. We have had this year 14 rain delays or postponements at Target Field, 4 more on the road, and we sure don't want one today. bounced foul.
Ryan with a lot of decisions out of that bullpen. 13, 6 wins, 7 losses. One of the wins coming against Seattle in Seattle earlier this year.
And Freeman flopped back to the bag. One and two. Runner goes, and the pitch lifted foul over by the tarp. And Grossman almost got there.
That's the second time that Grossman has hustled over there and just come up a bit short as that ball goes in about the second row. So getting his running in, Grossman hustling over there. And the ball just landing in the seats. Not by much.
Seager nearly fouls out, but now he's still standing up there, a dangerous batter. 1 and 2. Another foul. Baltimore beat Arizona 2-1. So they and Toronto will stay in the first 2 wild card spots. Another 1-2 pitch. And an off-speed pitch gets a swing and a miss.
Yeah, better breaking ball right there, and really broke down nicely. Seager a long at bat, but Presley gets him to swing through that curveball. So straight over the top breaking ball.
Here is Lee with 2 gone. And the good news is the mist is lightening up. And hints of sunshine hitting some of the taller buildings in downtown Minneapolis. That ball's thrown away, and had Vargas caught it, they might have had him picked off. Freeman to second base. Presley's got those Jesse Crane quick feet, and we've seen him deliver some snap throws over there, and I don't know that the throw was necessarily that bad. They almost had him picked off.
Yeah, sometimes the throw into the runner is tough for that first baseman to get that glove down. You see the throw is down.
Yeah, that hit the glove.
Hit the glove and got behind Vargas. Freeman gets into scoring position.
I think we saw Vargas's glove without the ball tag Freeman before he got back to the bag, so they would have had him picked off if Vargas had made the catch. Hard to charge the pitcher with an error on that one. Pitch is up, 1-0.
It'll be the third error of the ball game for the Twins.
Got to be on Vargas, doesn't it?
Yet to find out who they give the error to. And they do give it to Vargas.
Dribbled foul.
So for Vargas, that's his first error of the year at first base.
Third error of the ball game. And on the season now 125. One and one.
Ooh, nice stop by Centeno.
And landed 4 feet in front of the plate. Breaking ball.
Just threw it right into the dirt.
Two and one. 2-2.
Driven to the right field corner, twisting, foul. And the count remains 2-2. I don't believe it's precipitating at all anymore, is it?
Stop.
Presley trying to clean up the top of the 8th inning. Two and two to Lee. On the ground to Dozier. And Presley finishes the 8th inning. Twins a pitch around, a walk and an error, and keep it a 1-run game.
The Twins are trailing the Mariners by a run. It's 4-3 in the bottom of the 8th inning. And coming up after the final out, we will bring you our final post-game show of the home season. It's game 81 of 81, and thus the Target Field finale today. We'll look at Nelson Cruz for the Mariners. Out of control, Cruz is, at the plate anyway, with 4 home runs in these 3 games. But we will not see him anymore this afternoon. Looked like he maybe tweaked a hand or a wrist in his last at-bat. But we'll look at the power that Cruz has displayed for the Mariners, and we'll hear from the manager, Paul Molitor, right after the final out of today's game. Dick and Bert.
Thank you, Mourning. Yeah, Cruz left with what was described as wrist soreness. And Jerry Lane left in the first inning with concussion symptoms. Steve Cishek, former teammate of Jose Fernandez's, will take the mound and pitch to the Twins in the 8th inning.
Yeah, you can see making his 58th relief appearance how well he has done against right-handed batters. Right-handers hitting only 167 off of him.
Here's Vargas. And that floats over the inside corner. Vargas 0 for 3 with 2 strikeouts. Then Grossman, who's 3 for 3. And Centeno is due another upper 70s breaking ball and a called second strike.
That sidearm delivery. Cishek 6 seasons with the Marlins. Last year traded over from the Marlins to the Cardinals in his first season with the Mariners.
Outside 1-2.
He was once the closer for the Marlins. Back in 2014 he saved 39 ball games.
Fastball strikes out Vargas. 1 down.
And from underneath there, that's almost a rising fastball.
CenturyLink, what's next? 3 night games in Kansas City. Ian Kennedy will go against Jose Barrios on Tuesday night. Irvin Santana
against Jason Vargas off the disabled list after Tommy John surgery. Then Danny Duffy and Kyle Gibson on Thursday.
Well, the bullpen of the Mariners has been outstanding so far in these first 3 ball games. Total 8 innings so far, shutout baseball.
Grossman with 3 hits, all of them from the left side of the plate. And a strike.
Cishek has allowed 8 home runs out of the bullpen, making his 58th relief appearance. Only 19 walks, 73 strikeouts now.
Hook foul. One and 2 to Robbie Grossman. 2 and 2.
See guys like Cishek. I think of, Dan Quisenberry, Kent DeColby, Pat Neshek himself kind of drops down like that.
Breaking ball inside 3 and 2.
A frisbee like breaking ball.
Centeno due up next. And he missed, and Grossman reaches all 4 times here this afternoon. Centeno due up, and he will head to the plate here with the tying run aboard. Centeno drove in a run with a single his last time up. He's also walked. Would love to get Brandon Kinchler warmed up here in the bottom of the 8th to save one in the 9th, but they're down a run. See if the bottom of the order can generate a rally. Centeno takes a breaking ball. Strike 1. Fastball missing, 1-1. Edwin Diaz warming up down in the Seattle bullpen. And breaking ball misses.
What, Terry Leach from down there too?
Yep. He a guy for the Twins in 1991.
Right.
Double play grounder. Cano flips, and Cishek gets a double play to end the 8th inning. We head to the 9th. It's still 4-3 Seattle.
Too much Nelson Cruz, too many home runs allowed. That's been the story for the Twins this season, and 3 of them hit today. And the Mariners have a 4-3 lead as we go to the 9th inning now. And Leonis Martin leading things off against Ryan Presley.
Well, remember, this ball game started with Jerry Lane behind the plate. We want to wish him best luck. I guess he's got concussion-like symptoms, and they're monitoring him. We wish him the best.
1 strike to Martin. Breaking ball popped up. Two strikes. Fastball puts Martin away.
And Presley picking up his 2nd strikeout.
Second at bat in a row where Martin's gone fishing on a high fastball. 1 down.
Yeah, last batter that Santiago faced was Martin, and he swung at that high fastball middle in. This one, you can see Centeno exactly where he wanted that ball, and Martin swinging through that high fastball.
Jesus Sucre hitting a cool 500 on the season, 11 for 20. A double in the 3rd, and a 2-run home run in the 5th that gave the Mariners their first lead. Twins had a 2-1 lead at the time. Sucre's homer made it 3-2. Cruz's 2nd home run made it 4-2. Twins got 1 back. 1 strike to Sucre. Got him in the hand.
I think Paul's going to ask whether he went around or not.
And first base umpire Hunter Wendelstedt, well, first base umpire Toby Basner, with Wendelstedt behind the plate, says he did not swing. So someone, hopefully Sucre, will go to first base.
Looking at his right elbow. Right off the elbow. He did not go. He got hit in that elbow.
And Sucre will go to first. Kansas City has beaten Detroit 12-9. And the Tigers, who lost a heartbreaking game yesterday, giving up 5 runs in the 9th inning, followed up with a very short start by Matt Boyd. He didn't retire 1 batter on another costly loss. So the Mariners, if they can win here today, would be a game behind Detroit. Now that's irrelevant because Detroit's not in the driver's seat. Toronto and Baltimore both won, but the Mariners hope to pass Detroit and then get into where Baltimore or Toronto are. 1 strike and fouled away.
Not as dramatic in the National League as it is in the American League. You know, the Mets and the Giants are,
and the Cardinals are all right there.
Right.
And in the American League, Houston has won its game, so they will be 3 games back. Seattle will either be 2.5 or 3.5 back, and the Tigers a game and a half out. Presley wants a new baseball after the one thrown back to him got out of his glove and rolled in the wet grass. 1-2. Foul back. Mariners haven't been in the playoffs since 2001 when they were the nucleus of baseball. Hosted the All-Star game that year. Had 116 wins.
1-2. Another foul ball.
Dick, we were talking earlier about stretching it out, the importance of more at-bats. Also for Ryan Presley, what he's been able to do this year. Remember last year in July, he hurt that shoulder. He was shut down the rest of the year. Leading the bullpen in appearances. That was 71.
Breaking ball and another foul ball, and they got a piece of Centeno. The hope is for Presley and for all the other relievers who will make up part of the Twins bullpen that less will be asked of them. How many times if the Twins had games, that went right off the thigh, it looked like. Ouch. How many times this year has the Twins bullpen gotten more outs than the starting pitcher?
Too many.
Yeah. One and two again. There's a swing and a miss. 2 down.
And strikeout number 3 for Ryan.
Bring up Heredia.
Another good breaking ball underneath that swing of O'Malley.
Heredia singled his last time up, laid down a sacrifice in the 5th, 1 for 3. Fly to right. And Kepler going back under it. A scoreless top of the 9th. And let's see if the Twins have one more walk-off in them in the 2016 season. Trying to win a tough one-run ball game, and they'll bring Diaz into the game. He's been pretty good as their closer.
Yeah, opponent's hitting just .207 off of this right-hander, just 22 years old, called up in June from Double-A. Diaz out of Puerto Rico, signed by the Mariners in 2012. He has 16 of the 46 saves out of the bullpen.
Talking about walk-offs, the Twins obviously have to tie it up first, or at least get a runner on base. There have been 8 walk-off victories this year. And if the Twins are going to win this game, it'll be a walk-off. Buxton 1 for 3. Sharp single to left. Back in the 4th inning. Seager's almost standing on the third base bag, and the pitch is inside, ball 1. Look how close he is to the base.
Not going to give up that double down the line, is he?
And the outfield playing deep. Buxton takes a fastball zipped inside.
Fastball 95, 96 miles an hour.
Three and oh. He's missed with fastballs and now a breaking ball.
Yeah, Diaz has walked 15 batters, 2 intentional in 46 and a third innings.
Buxton will be taking here. At the knees, 96-mile-per-hour fastball, 3-1.
And he'll have to throw it again. 80 strikeouts for Diaz.
95 and a foul tip, 3-2.
And they list the young 22-year-old at 6'3", about 165.
Full count to the leadoff man, bottom of the ninth. Went upstairs and got a swinging strike 3, 1 down.
Might have swung at ball 4, but the aggressiveness and the high fastball. Buxton strikes out.
Nowhere near the target. Buxton nearly had that pitch get him on the right shoulder as he swung at it. Dozier with a single on the first pitch he saw in the first inning. He scored a run. 1 for 4. To short center. And Martin comes in to make the catch, 2 down. Dozier again on the first pitch is retired. And leave it to Jorge Polanco. Joe Mauer would hit next if Polanco can keep the game alive. Both the third baseman Seager and the first baseman Lee are about a foot off the baseline. 1 strike. Side 1-1.
Young man's got a great arm, doesn't he? First time I've seen Diaz.
Popped up. And Martin calls for it. And with that, the 100th loss of the year for the Minnesota Twins. The Mariners win a ball game that they had to have. They take 2 out of 3 from the Twins. Anthony, the home schedule ends with a 1-run loss.
Twins wrap up their target field portion of the schedule 30-51 here on their home field. We'll look back on the finale. We'll hear from Paul Molitor and preview the final road trip of the season next on Twins Live, presented by CenturyLink.